The morning light from 3 different suns streamed through the massive windows of the Galactic Council chamber. Ambassador Lisa Carter adjusted her simple blue suit and walked toward her seat at the far end of the curved table. Around her, beings from across the galaxy took their places. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and a few looked like walking crystals. But they all had one thing in common. They thought humans were weak. Lisa had been Earth's representative for 5 years now. Every day she listened to the same complaints and arguments. Every day she suggested peaceful solutions, and every day the other species laughed at her ideas. "The humans want to talk again," whispered Trademaster Zalthek to his aide. The Vortani had purple skin and 4 arms, and he never missed a chance to make money from conflict. "They always want to talk instead of fight." War Chief Krextar slammed his massive fist on the table. The Zephyrian stood 8 feet tall and had teeth like a shark. His red eyes glowed with anger. "Talking is for the weak," he growled. "The strong take what they need." Lisa took her seat and opened her datapad. Today's meeting was about the Outer Rim territories. Several primitive species lived there on planets rich with rare metals. The Council wanted to remove them and start mining operations. Lisa knew what she had to do. Jake Morrison, her young aide, leaned over and whispered, "They're not going to listen again. We have to try." Lisa whispered back. Jake was fresh from Earth, full of hope and energy. He still believed that reason could win over violence. Lisa had once felt the same way. The Council leader, an ancient being called an ethereal, floated above the table in a glowing bubble. Its voice echoed in everyone's mind without using sound. "We begin with the matter of the Outer Rim territories." Krextar stood up immediately. His armor clanked as he moved. "The solution is simple. We send our fleets. We remove the primitives. We take the planets. End of discussion." Several other representatives nodded in agreement. The insect-like hive queen clicked her approval. The machine beings called synthetics calculated the profit margins out loud. Lisa stood up slowly. The chamber grew quiet, but not from respect. They were waiting to hear what foolish thing the human would say this time. "Honored council members," Lisa began, "I understand the value of these resources, but we must consider the lives at stake. These beings have families, children, hopes and dreams just like us." Laughter erupted from multiple species. Krextar's laugh was like the roar of a predator. Zalthek's sounded like breaking glass. Even the normally silent ethereals seemed amused. "Dreams do not mine asteroids," said the Hive Queen. "Sentiment does not build starships." Lisa continued despite the mockery. "These species could be valuable allies if we approach them with friendship instead of force. They know their planets better than anyone. They could guide our mining efforts and share in the profits." "Share?" Zalthek's 4 eyes went wide with shock. "Why share when we can simply take?" "Because it's the right thing to do," Lisa said firmly. "Because cooperation builds lasting peace, while conquest only creates future enemies." The laughter grew louder. Some beings were slapping the table with whatever they used for hands. Others were making sounds Lisa had never heard before, but she knew they were mocking her. Krextar stood and pointed one massive clawed finger at Lisa. "This is why your species will never amount to anything in this galaxy. You are soft. You are weak. You think the universe cares about your feelings. Strength isn't just about weapons and armies," Lisa replied. "True strength comes from building bridges, not burning them." "Pretty words from a pretty human," sneered the synthetic representative. Its mechanical voice carried no emotion. "But pretty words do not conquer worlds." The ethereal's mental voice filled the chamber. "The human speaks of cooperation, but what has Earth contributed to this council besides complaints and moral lectures? Your species has no great fleets, no impressive armies, no vast industrial complexes. You are farmers and artists and dreamers." Jake Morrison's face turned red with anger, but Lisa put a gentle hand on his arm to keep him seated. "We contribute. Perspective," Lisa said calmly. "We offer different ways of solving problems. Every conflict doesn't need to end in bloodshed. Your perspective is worthless, Krextar snarled. You have never faced real hardship. Earth is safe and comfortable, far from any serious threats. You have grown soft in your peace. Perhaps, suggested Zaltek with a cunning smile, it is time for the galaxy to function without Earth's naive interference. Trade flows better without constant moral objections. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. This was more than just mockery now. They were talking about isolating humanity completely. The Hive Queen's compound eyes focused on Lisa. Motion to exclude Earth from all military and territorial decisions. The humans may keep their trade rights, but they will no longer slow down important matters with their endless peace talks. Seconded, barked Krextar immediately. Thirded, added the synthetic representative. Lisa looked around the chamber desperately. Not a single species seemed willing to support humanity. Even their old allies, the peaceful gardener race, remained silent. You're making a mistake, Lisa said, her voice carrying a warning tone that surprised even her. Peace isn't weakness. It's a choice. And choices can change. Threats now? Krextar laughed. From the species that hasn't fought a real war in over 200 years? Your military couldn't defeat a cargo hauler. The vote was called. One by one, each species cast their decision. The result was overwhelming. Earth was officially excluded from all military and territorial decisions of the Galactic Council. As the chamber emptied, Lisa remained in her seat. Jake sat beside her, his face pale with shock. They actually did it, he whispered. They cut us out completely. Lisa activated her secure communicator and sent a message directly to Earth. President Dan Walsh would need to know immediately. Ambassador, Carter to Earth Command, she said quietly. They've made their choice about humanity's role in galactic affairs. I recommend we prepare to make ours. On Earth, President Walsh received the message in his secure office. Beside him sat Amy Foster, his security advisor, and General Chris Reeves, head of the Terran Defense Force. So it finally happened, Amy said grimly. Our intelligence reports were right. They never respected us. General Reeves stood and walked to the window overlooking the city below. They think we're weak because we choose peace. They're about to learn the difference between can't fight and won't fight. President Walsh activated his emergency protocols. Deep beneath military bases around the world, systems that had been hidden for decades began to wake up. Project Prometheus was no longer just a contingency plan. They laughed at peaceful humans. Walsh said quietly, "Let's see how they feel about the other kind." In the depths of space, automated monitoring stations detected unusual energy signatures from the Sol system. For the first time in 2 centuries, Earth was preparing for war. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council kicked Earth out of military decisions. The alien species thought they had solved their human problem. They were wrong. Ben Parker stood on the observation deck of New Montana's main settlement and watched the sunrise paint the wheat fields golden. The colony had been peaceful for 30 years. Families came here to farm and raise children far from Earth's crowded cities. Ben had been the colony administrator for 10 years and nothing exciting ever happened. That changed when the warning siren started screaming. "Ben, get to the command center now," Maria Santos shouted over the radio. Maria was the security chief, but her job usually meant breaking up bar fights and finding lost livestock. Today was different. Ben ran through the streets as colonists looked up at the sky in fear. Dark shapes were moving between the clouds. Ships. Big ones. In the command center, Maria was already coordinating with the other settlements. Her face was grim as she pointed at the radar screen. 12 ships, maybe more, she said. They're not responding to our communications. And Ben, these aren't human designs. The largest ship broke through the clouds and hovered over the main settlement. It was massive, covered in spikes and weapon ports. The hull was painted in the red and black colors of the Zephyrian Empire. Booming voice echoed from speakers across the colony. "Humans of New Montana, you will surrender immediately. Your peaceful existence ends today. Resistance will result in destruction." Ben grabbed the microphone. "This is Administrator Parker. We're farmers, not soldiers. What do you want? Harsh laughter came through the speakers. We want your world, human. The Galactic Council no longer protects you. You are alone. Maria pulled Ben aside. They think we're helpless, she whispered. They don't know about the emergency protocols. Every human colony had secret defense systems installed during construction. Most colonists didn't even know about them. But when Earth was excluded from the Council, President Walsh had activated all of them. Computer, activate Colony Defense Protocol 7, Ben said clearly. The ground shook as hidden weapon systems emerged from beneath the farms. Missile launchers rose from wheat fields. Energy cannons unfolded from barn roofs. The peaceful farming equipment had been designed with dual purposes. The Zephyrian commander's voice changed from confident to confused. What is this? Intelligence reports said humans were defenseless. Maria smiled grimly and pressed the firing button. The sky lit up with streaks of fire as hundreds of missiles launched toward the alien ships. The Zephyrians tried to return fire, but their weapons were designed for space combat, not precision, strikes on a planet's surface. 3 enemy ships exploded immediately. The others scattered, trying to retreat to higher altitude. But the colonists weren't finished. All units, this is Security Chief Santos. Maria broadcast to the settlements. Execute guerrilla protocols. Show these aliens what farmers can do when they're angry. Across New Montana, ordinary colonists became soldiers. The man who ran the grain elevator was actually a retired Marine. The woman who taught school had been a sniper. The teenagers who seemed lazy and bored had been secretly training for this day. They used farming vehicles as weapons. Tractors became mobile missile platforms. Crop dusters dropped explosive charges instead of fertilizer. Even the livestock was involved as horses and cattle created chaos in Zephyrian landing zones. The aliens had expected easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves fighting ghosts who knew every rock, tree, and hiding place on the planet. Fall back to the ships, the Zephyrian commander ordered. Regroup in orbit. But as the surviving alien ships tried to escape, they ran into another surprise. 3 human warships dropped out of hyperspace and surrounded them. Admiral Paul Turner stood on the bridge of the TDF Retribution and studied the tactical display. His fleet had been hiding in the outer system, waiting for exactly this moment. Captain Stevens, take your squadron and clean up those stragglers, he ordered. Captain Julie Stevens commanded the destroyer TDF Wasp. Her ship was small compared to the Zephyrian vessels, but it moved like a hunting bird, fast, precise, and deadly. All ships, attack pattern Delta, Stevens broadcast to her squadron. Let's show them how humans really fight. The human ships swarmed the confused aliens like angry wasps. They used coordinated strikes, hitting from multiple angles simultaneously. Their weapons were different too, designed to disable rather than destroy when possible. The Zephyrian commander found his ship surrounded and weapons offline. A human voice came through his communication system. This is Admiral Turner of the Terran Defense Force. You attacked our people. You assumed we were weak. Surrender now and we'll let you live to correct that mistake. Impossible, the alien snarled. Humans don't have warships. Intelligence said you were pacifists. Intelligence was wrong, Turner replied calmly. We're pacifists by choice, not by inability. You just made us choose differently. Back on Earth, President Walsh watched the battle reports in his Situation Room. General Reeves stood beside him, along with Dr. Susan Blake, Earth's chief scientist. Colony defense systems worked perfectly, Dr. Blake reported. Project Prometheus has been a success. What exactly is Project Prometheus? Asked Amy Foster. She had security clearance, but some secrets went deeper than others. General Reeves smiled. For 50 years, we've been preparing for this day. Every human colony has hidden defenses. Every civilian ship has military capabilities. Every farmer, teacher, and shopkeeper has received basic combat training. We knew this would happen eventually, President Walsh added. Some species only understand strength. So we made sure we had it when needed. Dr. Blake pulled up holographic displays showing human territory across the galaxy. Our communication networks are military grade. Our industrial systems can switch to weapon production instantly. Our people are trained and ready. But we kept it secret, Walsh continued. Let them think we were weak and peaceful. It gave us the advantage of surprise. The reports from New Montana were spreading across alien communication networks. The Zephyrian Empire was in chaos as word reached their homeworld. The helpless humans had destroyed an entire battle group. Trademaster Zalthek received the news in his luxury office on Vortani Prime. His 4 hands shook as he read the battle reports. "How is this possible?" he asked his aide. "Our intelligence networks are the best in the galaxy." "The humans deceived us," the aide replied nervously. "They appeared weak while building strength in secret. On the ethereal homeworld, the ancient beings gathered in their crystal chambers. Their collective consciousness was disturbed by this new information. We have made an error in calculation," their speaker announced. "The humans were not weak. They were waiting." War Chief Krextar stood in his command center staring at the tactical displays. Half his raiding fleet was gone. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had won decisively. "Prepare the main battle fleet," he ordered his subordinates. "If the humans want war, we will give them war." But even as he spoke, Krextar felt something he had never experienced before. Doubt. The humans had surprised him once. What other surprises were they hiding? Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The peaceful humans had fought back, and they had won. Ambassador Lisa Carter remained on Nexus Prime, monitoring alien communications. She sent a single message. "To Earth. They're scared now. The laughter has stopped." The news of New Montana spread through the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within days, more alien species joined the fight against humanity. They thought the human victory was just luck. They wanted to prove that humans were still weak. The Vortani Trade Federation made the first move. Trademaster Zalthek convinced his government that controlling human space would bring massive profits. Their plan was simple: blockade Earth's supply lines and starve the humans into surrender. Cut off their trade routes. Zalthek ordered his fleet commanders. Humans depend on supplies from their colonies. Without food and materials, they will beg for mercy. Admiral Paul Turner received the intelligence reports on his flagship. The Vortani had positioned their ships at every major hyperspace route leading to human territory. On paper, it looked like a perfect trap. "They still don't understand us," Turner told his staff. "They think we fight like them." Captain Ryan Garcia commanded the light cruiser TDF Falcon. He was Turner's specialist in what the military called deep strike operations. While the aliens focused on blocking the obvious routes, Garcia took his ships through paths that didn't officially exist. "Sir, these hyperspace lanes aren't on any charts," his navigator warned. "They're unstable and dangerous." "Perfect," Garcia smiled. "Dangerous means the aliens won't expect us." Human ships had been designed differently from alien vessels, while other species built huge battleships meant to slug it out in direct combat. Humans built smaller ships that could move fast and strike hard. Garcia's squadron emerged behind the Vortani blockade like ghosts. Before the aliens could react, human ships were attacking their supply depots and communication stations. "This is impossible," a Vortani captain screamed over the radio. "How did they get behind us?" "Humans don't follow the rules," Garcia replied, as his ships disabled another alien vessel. "We make our own." Meanwhile, the crystalline architects had decided to join the war. They believed their advanced technology made them superior to any organic species. Their crystal ships began systematic attacks on human research stations. Commander Helen Wright ran Earth's intelligence division from a secret base on Europa. She had been quietly studying alien technology for years, learning their weaknesses. "The architects think in patterns," she explained to her team. "They're logical and predictable. We're going to use that against them." Wright's people had spent months infiltrating alien communication networks. They knew how the architects coordinated their fleets, how they made decisions, and most importantly, how to disrupt their systems. "Upload the virus now," Wright ordered. Across architect space, crystal ships suddenly found their navigation systems giving false readings. Their weapons targeted empty space, while human ships appeared where sensors said nothing existed. The architect, fleet commander tried to understand what was happening. Systems are malfunctioning galaxy-wide. This is not possible with our technology. Your technology is perfect, came a human voice through their communications. That's why it was so easy to hack. You never planned for chaos. The real test came at Kepler 442b, a mining world that had become the focus of the entire galactic conflict. If humans could hold it, they would prove their military strength. If they lost it, the galaxy would see them as weak again. Colonel Mike Stone led the 7th HFY Terran Marines in the assault. The planet was defended by the best soldiers from 3 different alien species. Everyone expected the humans to lose. Remember your training, Stone told his troops as their dropships approached the planet. We're not here to fight fair. We're here to win. The aliens had prepared for a traditional ground assault. They built defensive positions designed to stop massive armored attacks. But humans didn't attack the way aliens expected. Instead of charging at the fortifications, the Marines disappeared into the planet's forests and mountains. They used camouflage technology that made them nearly invisible. They struck at supply lines, communication centers, and isolated outposts. Where are they? Demanded the Zephyrian ground commander. Our sensors show nothing, but we're losing positions everywhere. The humans fought like predators hunting prey. They studied their enemies, learned their habits, and struck when least expected. A patrol would vanish without a sound. A command post would explode just as the officers were planning their next move. They fight like demons, whispered a Vortani, soldier to his squad mates. They appear from nowhere and disappear like smoke. The aliens had superior numbers and better weapons, but they couldn't fight an enemy they couldn't find. Within a week, Colonel Stone's Marines had captured the Zephyrian regional commander and forced the defenders to surrender. Dr. Kevin Ross studied the captured alien equipment in his laboratory on Earth. What he found disturbed him. They've been fighting the same way for thousands of years, he reported to President Walsh. Their military tactics haven't changed because they never needed to change them. What do you mean? Walsh asked. Every species in the galaxy fights. Predictably, Ross explained. They follow established patterns and procedures. But humans adapt constantly. We improvise. We break the rules. To them, we're chaos given form. The psychological effect was spreading through alien forces. Soldiers who had never known fear began to hesitate. Commanders who had won countless battles found their strategies useless against human unpredictability. Lieutenant, Commander Tony Clark proved this during his raid on the Vortani homeworld. His squadron of experimental fighters used a new tactic that no alien had ever seen. All ships, execute pattern random, Clark ordered. There was no pattern random in any military manual. Clark had made it up during the flight to the target. His fighters attacked from impossible angles, using maneuvers that should have torn their ships apart. The Vortani orbital defenses were designed to stop conventional attacks. They couldn't target ships that seemed to ignore physics and common sense. How are they moving like that? A Vortani defense commander screamed. Those maneuvers are impossible. Nothing's impossible, Clark replied as his fighters destroyed the orbital shipyards. You just have to be crazy enough to try. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The war they had expected to last days was now entering its 3rd month. Instead of defeating the humans, they were losing ground everywhere. War Chief Krextar slammed his fist on the table. This is not warfare. This is madness. Humans don't follow any logical military doctrine. Perhaps that's why they're winning, suggested the ethereal representative. Their mental voice carried a tone of worried respect. We prepared to fight an enemy like ourselves. Instead, we face something entirely different. Ambassador Lisa Carter watched the alien delegates argue among themselves. Fear was replacing arrogance in their voices. The species that had laughed at human peace proposals were now desperate to understand human war tactics. You wanted to see our true nature, Lisa said quietly. Now you're learning why we worked so hard to avoid showing it to you. The meeting ended with no solutions. For the first time in galactic history, the Council didn't know what to do. On Earth, Admiral Turner received new orders from President Walsh. The defensive phase of the war was over. It was time to take the fight directly to the alien homeworlds. They Started this war because they thought we were weak, Turner told his fleet commanders. Let's finish it by showing them what human strength really means. The largest fleet in galactic history gathered at the edge of the Sol system. Ships from 7 different species formed a massive armada that stretched across space like a metal cloud. War Chief Krextar commanded from his flagship, the Dreadnought, Void Render. This was supposed to be the final battle. The aliens would crush Earth and end the human threat forever. President Dan Walsh stood in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by his military advisors. Through the windows he could see families in the streets below, children playing, couples walking hand in hand, old people feeding birds in the park. Everything humanity had built over centuries was about to be tested. They've brought everything. They have, reported General Chris Reeves, studying the tactical displays. 1,200 ships against our 300. They outnumber us 4-1. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral Paul Turner said from his command ship. They still don't understand how we fight. Walsh activated the global communication system. His voice reached every human settlement across Earth and the colonies. My fellow humans, he began. Today we face the greatest challenge in our species' history. An alien armada approaches our home, believing they can destroy us through force. They think our desire for peace made us weak. They're about to learn the difference between cannot fight and will not fight. On Luna Base, Captain Julie Stevens prepared her ship for what might be the last battle of her life. The TDF Thunderbolt was no longer a small destroyer. Months of desperate warfare had earned her command of a heavy cruiser. Her crew looked to her for confidence they might not feel themselves. Remember what we're fighting for, Stevens told them over the intercom. Not for glory or conquest. We fight to protect our families, our homes, our right to choose peace over war. The alien fleet crossed into the outer solar system. Krextar expected the humans to meet them in traditional formation, capital ship against capital ship. Instead, the human fleet seemed to vanish completely. Where are they? Demanded the Zephyrian commander. Sensors show only empty space. What the aliens didn't know was that humans had turned the entire solar system into a weapon. Asteroid mining. Stations became missile platforms. Cargo ships became carriers for fighter squadrons. Even the space habitats orbiting Earth had been armed for battle. The attack began without warning. Asteroids that seemed natural suddenly opened to reveal weapon batteries. Cargo haulers dropped their disguises and launched swarms of fighters. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies that had been hiding in plain sight. Commander Angela Moore coordinated Earth's orbital defenses from the Central Command Station. She watched as mining lasers designed to cut through rock began, slicing through alien armor instead. All stations focus fire on their command ships, Moore ordered. Cut off their leadership and they'll panic. The battle raged through the inner solar system. Human ships appeared from behind planets and moons, striking fast and disappearing again. They used the gravity of celestial bodies to slingshot around obstacles, arriving where aliens least expected them. Captain Ryan Garcia led a squadron of fighters through Saturn's rings, using the ice and rock as cover. His ships darted between, the ring particles like fish through coral, while alien weapons destroyed empty space where they thought humans should be. "This is insane," radioed one of Garcia's pilots. "We're flying through a debris field at combat speed." "Insane is what we do best," Garcia replied, leading his squadron in an attack on a Vortani battleship. "Predictable gets you killed." The tide began to turn when a massive human fleet emerged from the outer system. These weren't the ships that had been defending Earth. This was Admiral Turner's main battle group, returning from their campaigns against alien homeworlds. Krextar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. "Impossible," intelligence reported. "Those ships were scattered across the galaxy." "Your intelligence was wrong again," came Turner's voice over the communication channel. "We've been leading you into a trap from the beginning." The human reinforcements struck the alien rear guard, while the defenders attacked from the front. Caught between two forces, the alien formation began to collapse. Ships that had fought together for centuries suddenly found themselves separated and confused. In the chaos of battle, Admiral Turner's flagship approached Krextar's Dreadnought. The two massive ships traded fire at point-blank range, their armor buckling under the assault. "You want to settle this personally?" Turner broadcast to the alien commander. "Meet me aboard your ship, commander to commander." Krextar's warrior pride accepted the challenge. The two leaders met in the damaged corridors of the Void Render, surrounded by the debris of battle. The Zephyrian was bigger and stronger, but Turner had something his enemy lacked: desperation. He wasn't fighting for glory or conquest. He was fighting for his species' survival. The combat was brutal and quick. When it ended, Krexatar lay dying among the wreckage of his flagship. His red eyes stared up at Turner with something like respect. "Why?" the alien whispered. "You preached peace for centuries. Why do you fight so fiercely now?" Turner knelt beside his fallen enemy. "We offered you peace because we remembered what war costs. You chose to make us remember what war wins." With their commander dead and their formation shattered, the alien fleet began to retreat. Some ships surrendered immediately. Others tried to flee to hyperspace, only to find human ships already waiting for them. The Battle of Sol was over. Humanity had won. In the weeks that followed, the surviving alien leaders gathered on what remained of Nexus Prime. The Great Space Station had been damaged in the fighting, its gleaming corridors now scarred and broken. Ambassador Lisa Carter entered the council chamber for the first time in months. But this time she wasn't there to plead for peace. She was there to accept surrender. "The Galactic Council formally requests Earth's return to galactic politics," announced the ethereal representative. Their mental voice carried notes of fear and desperate hope. "We offer humanity leadership of the Council." Lisa looked around the chamber at the alien faces. Where once there had been arrogance and mockery, now she saw only fear and respect. "You laughed at peaceful humans," she said quietly. "Then war erupted. Now you know why we tried so hard to stay peaceful." Trademaster Zalthek, his forearms shaking with nervousness, leaned forward. "What are your terms for peace?" "Simple," Lisa replied. "No more expansion through conquest. No more removal of primitive species from their worlds. All conflicts to be resolved through negotiation first, force only as the absolute last resort." "And if we refuse?" asked a synthetic representative. Lisa's smile was cold as winter. "Then you'll discover what other surprises humanity has been keeping secret." The vote was unanimous. The new Galactic Accord was signed that day, establishing humanity as the dominant military power in the galaxy. President Walsh addressed the United Nations Assembly one last time as Earth's wartime leader. "We never wanted to rule through fear," he said, "but sometimes you have to show your strength before others will respect your desire for peace." Dr. Kevin Ross published his final report on the war. His conclusion was simple. The most dangerous warriors are not those who love fighting, but those who understand what they're fighting to protect. Years later, when new species joined the galactic community, they were told the story of the human war. How a peaceful species had been pushed too far and reminded the galaxy why some sleeping dragons should never be awakened. The universe was at peace again. But now it was a peace built on respect rather than ignorance. And everyone remembered the lesson: never laugh at peaceful humans. They might just show you why they choose peace in the first place.